My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Hey guys, okay, so my name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget, and this is my cat Sadie, the famous Sadie, and this is an empty magnetic palette, and I am about to do something that I do all the time. I mean, I do it all the time. Oh, Sadie, won't you stay? Wouldn't it be great if she stayed for the whole video? I'm about to do something that I do all the time, which is to build a little magnetic palette out of singles. I'm going to build a palette the likes of which I have been dreaming of. And wait, does that make sense? The likes of which I have been dreaming of, or the likes of which I have been dreaming? I think that it's correct. I'm going to make a palette in the image of one that I've been thinking about. And today I decided to focus on the idea of a grungy rainbow. I can't remember when this phrase came up recently. I think it was when Angelica was here. We were talking about palettes and the phrase grungy rainbow came up, and I felt inspired. I would love to have a grungy rainbow palette, and I don't know if I've ever seen anything that I would define as such. So I decided to take this, which is I think my favorite little magnetic palette for building my own. I got it on Amazon, I'll link it below. It's very sturdy, but it's also very slim and it's easy to transport. It's small enough that it fits into most of my little, I mean, not most of, I only have one little kind of like zippered pouch for taking makeup with me when I go places. It fits into that, and it's big enough that you know, you can make like a significant palette. It's not just going to be 4 eyeshadows. I can actually kind of build an idea, a little color story, a little scheme in this palette. So I'm going to pull out my singles and just start playing around. All of my single eyeshadows right now are in these 2 Adept palettes. And I do have some other magnetic palettes in my life that are currently empty because I moved all of my eyeshadows into these 2 palettes. I am trying to practice, as I think all of you who watch me know, letting go of perfectionism and kind of letting go of the desire to have like an obsessive, clean control over everything being perfect, everything being in the right place all the time, everything being the perfect number. I am making sure that I don't overspend and that I don't let my life get too full of things that I don't cherish. But at the same time, I'm also trying not to punish myself for these very minor and in fact inconsequential imperfections, such as the fact that my single eyeshadows are always floating around. They're always moving from place to place. None of them has a permanent home. And that means that sometimes magnetic palettes are just lying around empty. Sometimes I don't quite know where something is and I have to look for it. And things aren't perfectly lined up, right? There are spaces, there's this kind of mosaic idea. Things aren't the same size, things aren't the same shape. I am making peace with that. I'm living my life that way these days. So right now, this is the situation. It's different all the time, but right now, all of my single shadows are here. Except for this little palette. I said that they're all here, and they are mostly all here, except for this little palette. So this is the little ColourPop palette that I recently built. I did build your own palette on ColourPop, and I switched out 2 of them for 2 Makeup Geek shadows. So this dark sort of bronzy brown and this dark purple are not ColourPop, but the rest of them are. And even though some of these could definitely hold their own in a palette defined by the phrase grungy rainbow, I am going to leave them in this palette because I just want this palette to stay intact. I built it as a standalone palette, and even though some of these are going to eventually make their way into my larger collection of singles, for now I'm relishing having built my own palette, so I don't want to break it up just yet. All right, let's build a grungy rainbow, and let's go in color order, just like we did in kindergarten. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, bitches. So we're gonna start with red. I have been really drawn to these kind of, I don't know, sort of like red mattes, like off red orange mattes. So I really like these 3. but obviously I don't need all three of them in my little palette because they're pretty similar. So this one's more of like a bright, faint coral. This one's more of a ruddy, kind of a ruddy reddish, and that one's even darker. Gosh, I feel like if we're building a grungy rainbow, this middle color is the one I want because it's definitely red, but it's redder than this third one. I think this is a, oh, right, okay, so this middle one I think is a depotted Morphe shadow. This third one, which is more brown, is Maple by Luxie. And the first one, which is more coral, I think was also a depotted Morphe shadow. So I'm gonna go for this middle one, which is definitely kind of an orangey red, but it's definitely sort of like a dirty, grungy orange. And you know what else I want in here that's orange? This orange glitter. I feel like it's not necessarily grungy, but it's definitely got texture and it's gonna make this palette sort of intense and weird, and I'm here for that. I feel like this is going to help make my grungy rainbow more kind of, more gritty, literally, and that is what I want. It's like a gritty, grungy rainbow. However, I feel like we've started right in with orange, and I want to start with red. So what do I have that's red that's grungy? Maybe this one? This feels like a, oh yeah, there we go. So that's kind of like a burgundy. It's definitely grungy. That feels like a Morphe shadow too. I feel like this is sort of what I've been thinking about along the lines of a grungy rainbow. This is Sydney Grace Loose Change, and it's like a coppery red. So it's sort of between red and orange. And it's definitely grungy. Yeah, there we go. That's like more what I've been thinking about, grungy rainbow. And actually, I'm gonna line it up this way. Yeah, so we're gonna go across from red, orange, yellow, green, blue to purple on this side. Do we want anything else that's kind of in the realm of red and orange in terms of grungy rainbow? I feel like maybe some of these, like this kind of weird pinky one. This is Spellbound. This is Spellbound by Luxie, and it's super grungy. Like it looks, it's a duochrome, like pinky orange duochrome, and it just looks all exciting and textured and weird in the pan, and it's pinkish. It's like a pinkish yellowish orangey red. I feel like it kind of suits this part of the color scheme. Maybe it should go first, so it's sort of like pink, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Wait a second. So there is room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertical rows of eyeshadows here, and that will mean that I'll have to stick to just the small pans, which I think that I can do. I think that I'm up for doing that today. So that means that there can be 3 shadows in each category. So I'm gonna say that these are my reds right here, and then I need one more orange. So these are my oranges. So I'm gonna use something grungy orangey. Where's ColourPop Paper Tiger? There's Paper Tiger, but it's more yellow. These mustardy shadows are all more yellow. I'm actually going to include this kind of brighter coral, but it looks so similar to that one right there. Oh no, that wasn't the one. I'm going to actually include this brighter coral as a red, and I'm going to move Sydney Grace Loose Change over to kind of the orange. No, I think it was good how I had it. All right, grungy red, grungy orange, and grungy yellow is super easy. So we have Luxie Butterscotch, we have ColourPop Paper Tiger. I want one that's a metallic, and this is probably it, Carrot Cake by ColourPop. All right, moving into grungy. Oh, this is pretty. What is this? I think this must be from a Morphe palette. It's sort of like a grungy orange yellow, but I think we're doing okay without it. I might switch it out. red, orange, yellow, and now grungy green. And this is actually going to be more difficult because I feel like green is sort of an inherently grungy color and there are a lot of them. So this is Makeup Geek Side of Olives, very tempting. This is Sydney Grace Defiance, very tempting. This is Sydney Grace Herky Bird, really amazing. And those are all, I feel like I need one matte. So what's my grungiest matte green? I think this is it. This is more grungy than the other matte greens. And it's high tea. It's Makeup Geek High Tea. Oh yeah, that's like the definition of grungy right there. That eyeshadow, but it's a little bit more, it's like not, it almost feels like it's not that pigmented. It's like it's kind of a pale color. There's ColourPop Team Captain, which it looks similar to Makeup Geek High Tea, but it just looks like a little bit richer, but it's also a little bit brighter. It's like more green, less gray, more bright, probably slightly less grungy. Let's see how these metallics are looking. Ooh. Ooh, they're so pretty. All right, this right here, this green, which is unbelievably beautiful, Side of Olives by Makeup Geek. It's really beautiful, but it's not as grungy as the other ones. These ones are incredibly grungy. I feel like I can't not include these two metallic greens right here. They're just like unbelievably rich and the definition of grungy green. But I wonder if maybe I should just include Team Captain instead of High Tea because it just seems like it's actually going to perform a little bit well for me. Gosh, this is looking very rainbow and not as grungy as I thought, but maybe I'll go through and like tinker with it afterwards. So we're on to the blues. This is a really gorgeous grungy blue-green. I think that this is from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. And this is a really gorgeous grungy blue right here. This is Rage by Luxie. Definitely going to include that. This is Omega by Luxie. It's more blue than Rage, but it's also really grungy. I mean, like it's just as grungy. And there are a bunch of other ones over here, but I think I've got, yeah, I think I've got the ones that are the grungiest. Well, yeah, I think I've got the ones that are the grungiest. Let's do purple. This is like the dirtiest purple I've ever seen. It's Juno by Luxie, and that is one of my all-time favorite eyeshadows at this moment in time. I guess it can't be my all-time favorite at this moment in time. It has to be either my favorite at this moment in time or my all-time favorite. I'm gonna say that it's one of my favorites at this moment in time. So that's a super grungy purple. This is Makeup Geek Toxic, and that is a pretty amazing grungy purple. I mean, that is really, really, it's different. I mean, it's kind of got a brightness, but it's definitely got that kind of grayish grunge iridescence around the edge. I think that's a pretty good addition, but it depends on what else we find and kind of what else we want to include. I'd like to put a matte in here. Oh yeah, what are you? Who are you? Come to the party. This is Vintage, Makeup Geek Vintage. That definitely belongs. Wow, wow, wow. This is so fun. So there's my grungy rainbow, and when I look at it, I feel like it's not that grungy. Like I feel like it's got some sort of brights, like it just looks like a regular rainbow palette. When I look at my hands though, the swatches that I've done, they look very grungy. Like that doesn't really look like a rainbow palette. It looks like some sort of like rainbow palette that dropped out of school, you know, which is what I'm trying to make. But I might switch some of them out. Like Paper Tiger, it's actually not that grungy. It's just not. It's just a yellow. So I wonder what would happen if we put in like one of these more, you know what I want? I want more duochromes over here on the yellow side. So I'm gonna get like a mustardy. There's Tea Garden. All right. that's helping, that's making it more grungy. Tea Garden's kind of green, so I did put it in the yellow section, but it's got some yellow going on. Actually, I'm gonna switch it out for Baby Lights. Tea Garden and Baby Lights are almost the same. I'll swatch them both. So there's Tea Garden and there's Baby Lights. Tea Garden, Baby Lights. They're really, really similar ColourPop shadows, but Baby Lights has a little more gold in it, so it's more appropriate to have it in the yellow row. Now I feel like this coral, which I put in for relatively good reason, just is also making it look more bright and less grungy. So I'm gonna go for some kind of like metallic reddish orange. Yeah, this right here. This is called Wine. It's an Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow. I don't remember if I mentioned this in this video or not, but I've recently had an influx of single shadows sent to me by just a couple of subscribers. So there are some shadows mixed in here, all of the ones from Luxie, Makeup Geek, that I didn't buy and then I'm actually not that familiar with yet. So that's why I keep appearing so surprised by my own eyeshadows when I pick them up and I'm like, what are you? And then I swatch them. I'm still getting to know some of these, and that's why. And this is one of them actually, ABH Wine. It's that one right there. And I think that's a much grungier orange than the one we had in there before. So that's great. And in fact, I think that this is more gonna be like a red. And let's put that more in the orange. I'm wondering if Carrot Cake is grungy enough to be allowed to stay in this palette. I don't think it is. I'm gonna switch it out for a grungier gold. Yeah, remember Golden Olive? That is like a golden green that I kicked out of the green row. It's like it's not grungy enough to be a green, but it's grungy enough to be a yellow in this palette. Now we're talking. It's those bright yellows that I feel like were disturbing the overall impression of grunge. I feel like Toxic, this one right here, is making the palette look a little bit less grungy. It's because it looks bright. It looks like a bright purple when you catch it from certain angles. But I don't know if I want to replace it because I feel like it looks really grungy when it's buffed out. But at the same time, I don't know like if I'll use it that much. I don't know, and I don't have really like darkening shades in here, like a really, really deep color to like actually grunge up the look. So I'm actually going to replace it with this dark purple, which I believe is from Depotted from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. There we go. That was it. That was the culprit. That was the one I needed to switch out. I mean, I think arguably the ColourPop glitter is keeping the palette from looking like as grungy as it possibly could. But look how grungy that is. That's the ColourPop glitter over top of that dark purple. Like, look how, I mean, it definitely, I think that this orange glitter definitely has a place in this palette in terms of creating the grungy rainbow looks that I'm planning to create. So I'm gonna leave it in for now. So there it is. There's my little custom palette, the grungy rainbow of my dreams. A lot of these shadows, you guys know what they are because I just told you as I was going through and picking them. I was talking about which eyeshadows they were, which brands they were, etc. But I'm not going to go through right now and do a recap of that because it doesn't really matter. If you're doing something like this at home, building the grungy rainbow of your dreams, the bright rainbow of your dreams, the neutral palette of your dreams, the grungy orange palette of your dreams, whatever it is, if you're kind of messing around with your singles and building a little palette, it's never about the exact formulas, the exact eyeshadows. It's never about making sure that you purchase a bunch of singles from certain brands just to get the exact eyeshadows. It's just about playing with color. And at the end of the day, a lot of these eyeshadows will look similarly on the eyes to each other and look similarly on the eyes to eyeshadows that you have, even if you don't have the same exact ones that I have. I hope that this is interesting. I've been doing a lot of overhead shooting lately and I'm really enjoying it. I really love videos like this. I love Sarah Hubler's channel. She does a lot of overhead shooting. I love Matilda's channel, which is all overhead shooting. Really, really amazing. And I would like to start doing more videos like this on my channel. So if there's something you want to see, if you want to see me build a certain kind of palette like this, or if you want to see me swatch up close anything that I have, lipsticks, palettes, anything that you know of that I have, or if you'd like to see me just play with makeup and be creative with color in any specific way, let me know and I will happily do that. That's it for today, you guys. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.